Hi, it's Nichole Vogelsinger of Wild Boho. Welcome back to my Worktable Weekly. I have a lot of different things that I've been working on this week. A few that I'm really excited to share with you, a few projects that I have kind of on the go, and one brand new one that I am just about to get started with. And with that project, I am going to kind of show you how I start to choose a color palette, because when I asked for questions and things you wanted to know, that was one that kept coming up. People wanted to know how I get started with a project. And so I am going to take you through that for a new project that I am working on for my class in France, which is in September. This is another hoop, and I will show you this in a little bit more detail. This is also for that class in September, and I will leave all of the links for that in the description. I'm really excited for this class. It is going to be a mix of beadwork, felting, mixed media with painting and collage, a lot of things. And that's part of what I'm going to be putting together today. It's a new project based on a Dior mood board. So if you read my book at all, or if you looked at my third book, Needles Out, I talk about how my inspiration for my work changed a lot from when I got started up until this point. And a turning point for me was I was in Denver filming my Craftsy class. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to visit an art museum in the city, and they had a Dior exhibit. And I was just blown away seeing the detail of the sequins and the beadwork and all of the gorgeous gowns close up. It was like another level. And after I saw that, I knew that I wanted to start incorporating more of that texture in my work. And so that's what I did. And so you can see that my work really changed from the beginnings, where I would just do a collage with a few pieces of fabric, till up until now, when my pieces are a lot. Like, they're heavy with beads and with sequins, with different fibers and fabrics. So it really changed. Part of the reason why I'm excited to go to France is to actually see the Dior exhibit, or the Dior museum there. But leading up to that, one of the projects for my class is creating a mood board based on what you would imagine a costume designer or a decorator would create as they are working up to a project. And I love pulling color palettes together. And so I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail when I show you my work table and all of the things that I'm pulling together to make this new pattern for the class. So I'd love if you'd join me. Feel free to check out the link. The description below will take you right there. And let's get started looking at my work table. So this is a sample that I am working on for the class that I'm teaching in France, and hopefully you kind of get the idea that these are lavender fields with some landscaping, rolling hills in the background. So this hoop is going to be a mix of all of the methods that I'm teaching. So we have the beading, the long strands of beads with the bead spinner. We have fabric painting. We have needle felting and applique and collage, all of my favorite techniques combined. Now, this is still an in-progress hoop, something that I'm working on, in between projects, because I have a lot of projects always on the go. I usually have about 4 to 5 projects that I'm working on. Here's the hoop guts of this one. Just fun to check it out. So this is one I'm working on. And then I also got an idea for another one using all of the techniques of the class, but focused on what I was talking about before, the Dior exhibit and the Dior costuming and clothing and all of the details. So let me show you how I'm going to pick my color palette for that project. So for this one, I'm starting with a larger piece of fabric. And this is the fabric. It's very old. I'm not sure what it is. It's printed on one side. It feels a little different than a cotton, like a quilting cotton. But it has this really pretty design on it. But the design is one that you don't see right away. And so that's why this is going to be the perfect background. I'm also going to be doing this project in a square Q-snap hoop. So these are great because you can adjust the size and take them apart, reconfigure them. I like these for projects that are square and I'm not working in a round hoop. My goal for this one is to eventually attach it to a canvas, so it's not going to be a completely round project. I usually begin having a rough idea of my color palette. And here it is. So I know that I definitely want a navy, and I'm looking for fabrics that have more texture to them. So I have a few chambray fabrics. I have this gorgeous navy. I have this, it's mustard. This is the color I was looking for, but then this one I'm still on the fence about. I like the metallic bits through here, and it is another chambray, but I don't know if it's a little too rich for what I'm going for, but I'm still going to keep it just to see how things play out. This is the right shade of pink that I was looking for. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm still going to keep it, but I'm just keeping it down here. I also have this one, which isn't the right shade of pink. And it has the gold in it though. So this is another one that I really like the texture of it, but I think I'm a little on the fence about this one right now. So I'm just going to keep that off to the side. And then I have this small collection. It's from Moda. It's more the style, some of the pinks that I want, although I'm looking at it compared to this pink, and these are a little peachy compared to what I wanted to do. And so I thought when I was pulling it that it was good, but now that I look at it with everything, I kind of don't think I'm going to include it. But I might keep it off to the side, just like these. And because this is a video about my work table, this is what's going on just to the side of this. These are for other projects that I currently have working on. I just spilled a bunch of beads, which you may have heard in the video. I've got other fabrics here that I'm working with. So there's a lot going on in this little space here. So my color palette really starts to come together the more things that I find, and it's what helps me narrow down my choices. And I can see that these colors really aren't what I'm going for, and that I'm much happier with this. And so everything else that I pull now is going to be with these colors. So I've settled on my color palette, and that's usually about how quickly that I pull something like this together. This was in real time. I was just going to my cabinet, pulling out fabrics. So this is how I start to do my color palette, and then I'll show you how I do my embellishments. So I have 5 fabrics here, and looking at them, this is definitely the color palette that I want to work with. These 2 are bringing in colors I didn't expect to want to have in here. So they each have a little bit of that darker red, and this one even has a little bit of the teal, the orange, and the green. So using those, I really love how this looks, and in my mind's eye, this is the palette that I want to work with. So working with that and these new colors, I've also brought in, this is an Anna Maria Horner. I want to do a little bit of applique, which I'm going to be doing in the class too, and I think this might be a great one to applique. This one also might be, and so this one I'm going to put in my to be decided on. And then I also have this one, which is another really great print. So I've got some of the navy here, which echoes that, and then some of this color, which I brought in because of this. And so I think that it also has some of the darker, I think that's a black, which would go along with this and the gray. And this one, I think the way that I'm going to use this is I hope to get my pleater working. And let me segue into a little bit about my pleater before I go into the embellishments. So this is my reed pleating machine. And this is, I'm working on replacing this so you can see that there are only a few needles in here. This is a 21 needle machine, which I've been doing a lot of research on these, and I found I don't think it's that common. It's not even listed on the Reed Pleaters website. So if anyone actually knows anything about this, I'd really love if you could leave information in the comments for me, because I've been doing a lot of research trying to find out a little bit more about this machine. If you read my Substack, you'll know that this was my mom's machine. She absolutely loved pleating, and this is an example of one of the things that she had pleated for me a long time ago. So I have her pleating machine, and I am trying to fix it up so that I can learn how to use it and incorporate pleated fabrics into my work. So that's what this is. It is made in South Africa. I don't know where she bought it. I know that it's older. She's had it for a long time, because she was making dresses for me when I was little with this. So, and I remember her learning how to use it from just local women in the community who knew how to use pleating machines, which I feel like that doesn't really exist much anymore. So thank goodness for YouTube. And I'm going to be trying to learn how to use this myself. I have taken pleating classes, hand pleating, through Tatter, which if they ever offer that and you're interested in it, I highly recommend that. It was a really cool class to take, and I'm looking forward to actually doing more pleating. And I'm hoping that this machine is valuable in what I'm trying to come up with for this project that I'm currently working on, the Dior mood board. So back to that, let me show you how I'm starting to pick my color palette and the different textures and materials that I'm going to be using for that. So that's what I plan on doing with this one, and I hope that I have parts that are arriving this week, I believe, if I can figure out how to use it. I really want to incorporate that with the pleater. Now, here's my color palette. From this is how I start choosing my threads. So I know that I'm going to be using my DMC soft cotton because I'm going to be adding some of the thicker stitches. And these look like I bought them specifically for this fabric. I actually just bought these all in one purchase at Michael's, and they were just colors that I liked at the time. And then it just so happened I pulled them out of the bag literally tonight and realized how perfectly they match this fabric. So I think I'm doing good with this color palette. So there are my threads. I also have, this is from the Painter's Thread collection. This is a GIMP. So here's the tag so that you can see it. I picked this one up when I was in Texas at Mesquite Bean Fabrics. If you're in the San Antonio area, that is a great little shop to check out, Mesquite Bean. They had tons of stitching supplies, and I really liked the whole store. So I bought this there, and this is going to accent the reds that I have that I didn't know I wanted to include. So that's going to bring in some of the dark colors, which also go with the darks in these two fabrics. Other textiles that I'm bringing in, the class that I'm going to teach also has some needle felting. And these three colors I feel like just go perfectly with everything here. So I have some of my wool roving that I'm going to add in. Other embellishments, I have a few buttons. These are some special buttons that I've been saving, and they all look perfect with this. This is going to start bringing in some more of our gold color. I'm not even calling this mustard anymore because I had pictured, when I originally thought of this color palette, I pictured something a little bolder than this, and I didn't love the bold. So I'm considering this my gold color, and that's the gold accents that we're going to start bringing in with some of these other colors. For beads, I have this pack that I've been kind of hoarding only because it looks so pretty all packaged up, but I think it might be time to actually cut these apart and use them. These are the John B. They're crystals. Each one is so pretty, and I'd love to find a way to use them in this project. I have some more beads. This is another one that I got along with the threads at Michael's, and it goes with the beads and this palette, and I'd love to find a way to use these too, and some of the smaller crystals, the bead landing preciosas. So then I have some specialty beads. These are some bugles that are going to work with the peach, the orangey peach color. I don't know that it's orange. I think it's more of a peach. And I have, these are ginkgos. They're 2 whole ginkgos, and I kind of have a fun idea about how I want to combine them. So this is, again, echoing some of the pale pinks. And then this is going to bring in a pop of that green from this fabric. I don't know if I'm going to use this. I picked this up at an antique store once. I don't think it is an antique. I think it's made to look antique. It's a pin. I just really liked it, and I was thinking that I might add this somehow. Again, the colors go really well with it. It's everything that I'm looking for, but I'm not sure how it's all going to turn out. That's kind of how I put palettes together. I just start bringing everything together, and once I have it, I don't have to use everything. I can decide to pick and choose what I want to use. So as long as I have everything, it makes it easier to decide what I want to use when the time comes. I'm going to be doing fabric painting as well in this class, and so I want to add some fabric paint. So these are amazing. These are Molotow. I don't know if I'm saying that right. These are paint markers, and they come just like this. And these I think are going to be really good for travel, which is why I want to use these, probably better than tubes of paint. But also the colors that are in here are really great. So I can already tell that this one and probably this navy would look really good. We've got that peach color. If I wanted to bring out some gray because of that one gray fabric, I've got a gray here. And maybe that's not quite the right shade of green. So I might just stick with these 4 colors. So these are great, and you can use them like a marker, but they actually are paint. They're an acrylic paint, and they work really well on fabric, which is why I love using these. They're slightly pricey. They're pricier than, you know, just a bottle of craft acrylic paint, but the quality, I just really enjoy using these. I also have no problem at all using the craft paint, but because I have these and the colors match really well, and I'm planning on traveling with a project like this, I think I'm going to use these for this project. And to cap it all off, I found my Dior book from the exhibit that I went to. It was at the Denver Art Museum back in 2018. And so I'm just going to keep this tucked aside to remind me what I'm working on. So that is how I start to put together a color palette. From here, I'm just going to start preparing my fabric, cutting swatches. I'm using a lot of different techniques, the fabric painting, the needle felting, applique. This project is going to be a little bit of a sampling of everything that we're going to do in the class. So that's what is on my work table this week. Next week, I hope to have my pleating machine up and running so that I can start practicing on this fabric. I really want to see a printed fabric done with the pleats. And until then, I hope whatever is on your work table is going well, and happy stitching.